Okay, it's dry now. I'll give it a couple of days to dry. And now it's time to start putting a finish on it. Now, before I put any kind of a top coat on it, I like to treat it with some neat's foot oil, because the wetting and drying of the leather takes some of the natural oils out of it, and if you don't replace them, then the leather will age, well, quicker. So I use a little bit of neat's foot, because you know when you do the stamping, you wet the leather, and then it dries, and that takes a little bit of the oils, and then you dye the leather, and that dries, and that takes out some of the oils, and then I went ahead and I excuse me, molded it using just below scalding hot water, and yeah, that's going to take out some of the oils too. So to put the oils back, I use just pure neat's foot oil. Neat's foot oil comes out of a cow, so it's putting basically cow juice back into cow skin. No big deal. Take a paper towel, put a little neat's foot on it. Doesn't take a lot. You don't want to soak it. You just want a thin coating over the entire thing. And I'll just wipe it on. I kind of like the smell of it. Then I'll wipe off the excess, leaving just a little bit to soak into the leather.
Okay.
And I'll do the same thing for the back side. A little on the paper towel.
Okay, you want to do that?
Wipe it on. Wipe on, wipe off. Not always necessary, but after I put this leather through what I put it through, it can use a little bit of oil back in it. Now, neat's foot oil never dries, so it'll go into the leather, put a little bit of moisture back in the leather, and stay there. I'm just going to take another piece, another section of the paper towel, and go ahead and buff this a little bit. So we can get a little bit of a shine on it. Now, next thing I'll do is I'll leave this sit for a day or so and let that neat's foot just soak into the oil. And after that, it's time to tan coat it. That's the next thing to go on it. And once I buff out that finish and make it all purty, that'll basically be it. See you next time. I've given the neat's foot oil a couple days to do its thing, and now I'm going to buff off any excess that's sitting on the surface. Just soft cloth. And then it's time for the tan coat. Well, first I'm going to shake that up real good. I don't know if it's necessary, but I do it anyway, just in case. Stick that in my clamp. Like that. Now, this isn't as messy if you spill it as dye is, but it's still messy and wasteful. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put this stuff on with a dauber. Stick my fingers in there. Load up my dauber and just start putting it on. I got fuzzies on the bottom here. Don't want those in the final finish. Making sure that I get it into that stitch line, because this will help to protect that stitch line. Once I get it on there, I just take a paper towel and I'll wipe off the excess. Now you may have air bubbles in there, like down in the stamping, but that's not something to worry about. They'll go away all by their lonesome. Make sure it's giving you a nice smooth finish, because that's the idea. Not only does this protect the leather, but it makes it pretty too, as long as you do your part to make sure it's smooth, even, and is not streaky. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, and when we come back, we're going to go ahead and buff this thing off. Okay, the front side is actually dried enough. I just put it on the back side, but the front side is dried enough that I can go ahead and start buffing on it. And I just take another section of the same paper towel. Actually, I can just go ahead and fold that over and just buff out the finish. And what that does is it gives it a nice shiny finish. Not overly shiny, just a bit of gloss. And actually, you don't want to wait until it's completely dry before you do this. What it does is it dries a little bit and it gets sticky. And you want to leave it alone. And right after it's done being sticky and before it's completely dry, it's soft enough to take a good buffing. And it gets really shiny. Well, not shiny. In fact, I see a spot here that I can use a little more. Now, by now, the backside should be ready. Just feel it. Doesn't feel tacky. So I go ahead and start buffing on the backside too. And that's it, you know. I don't always buff the backsides of these things because it's not really necessary, because the front side's a pretty side. But I felt like doing it anyway. Also, we're going to put on all our edges in the belt slots, on the top, on the bottom, all the edges, and buff those out. And if need be, I can do some reburnishing on them. That's looking pretty good. Now to let it dry, I don't want to just have it sitting on bits of paper, because actually it could still be a little bit tacky and the paper would stick to it. So I take a mallet, stick it in my clamp, and I just drop it on the mallet handle. Leave it like that for a day or two, let it dry completely, and then out the door goes and it's off to the next project.